Oh, Cindy Lou Who, what are you doing out of bed? I always stay up to watch Bogus Weirdness, Cindy said. Bogus Weirdness? Thought the Grinch with a grimace. But it can't be on now. It's almost Christmas. This is a holiday. Bogus show, you geek. There's no live call-in, so you don't have to freak. At this brief talk, the Grinch was confused, for he hated Bogus Weirdness and was not amused. So he took little Cindy and he shoved her to bed. Here, drink this. Arsenic's good for your head.
I love Thursdays. I hate Thursdays. The waiting, the anticipation. I have to hold my breath. Because on Thursday, sometime between the hours of 10 and 2, it arrives. My TV guide, with all the listings fully detailed, sitcoms summarized, guest stars noted. Look, Connie Chung makes an appearance on Cheers. When my TV guide arrives, I'll know exactly when to watch Full House, and Different Strokes, and Charles in Charge, and Alien Nation, and LA Law, and MASH, and MASH, and MASH, and MASH, and MASH! I love Thursdays. This isn't right. This is definitely very wrong. This is some kind of mix-up. Mishap. Crisis. I need a fix-it man. Things like this just don't happen. Well, it must be a test. Just a test. And shortly, I can resume normal viewing. I just want normal viewing. Hello Dolly's on Channel 7 at 4 o'clock. Streisand. Now there was a nose with talent. What can you do? Why should you be up on the screen? Olivier. His nose was different in every part. You're just a bulbous mass. You have no presence, no delivery, no character. You're nothing. You're colorless. You're ruining my life. You're turning me into a freak. No, I didn't see Twin Peaks. I can't breathe. You're sucking all the air out of the room. No more 60 Minutes. No more CNN. No more Dan Rather or MTV. No more Purina Cacho. Chow, chow, chow. I can't breathe. The sky is falling. Why couldn't you have at least been abreast? I won't tolerate you. I simply will not accept you. You think you can come in here and take away my life? Well, buddy, you're dead wrong. You can't, and I won't let you. Here. Let me. He was the worst waiter I've ever had. I didn't even leave him a tip. You don't get it. He says, and at these prices, you don't see many more kangaroos either. I met her the other day. She was taking out the garbage, and a sudden urge came over me. Mother! I screamed. She turned to me and said, Son! I discovered my address is 313 Sycamore Drive, apartment 3C. It's amazing how long you can live in the same building and not know your own address. And I rode the escalator today. I went up and down 3 times. Sometimes you just have to stop and smell the roses. Are they beautiful? Picked them up today at the cemetery. They're all over the place there. This guy came up to me and grabbed me when I was leaving and said, "Hey, where do you think you're going with those?" And I said, 313 Sycamore Drive, apartment 3C. I guess I'll fall in love today. Why not? Why not?
Blackout ball is just first little frost.
Paddington! Paddington!
The Washington Redskins. The Philadelphia Eagles.
Paddington! Paddington!
He's back. I'm not too sure they want him.
They can't do this to me!
Looks like Mildred is thinking of refurbishing the chaise lounge again.
Paddington! Where are you?
Impatient gourmet. I'm going to show you how. Margaret, you're a woman. And then you can make a snack.
It's gone! It's gone! It's gone!
From our studios in Hollywood, it's America's most watched game show. The famous wheel is spinning your way with lots of cash and an assortment of fabulous and exciting prizes. Over $167,000 just waiting to be won this week. And now, here are your host and hostess, Pat Sajak and Vanna White.
Such a Headache presents A New England Christmas. City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, dressed in holiday style. In the air, there's a feeling of Christmas, a New England Christmas. And what's so special about the air of a New England Christmas? Well, for one, it's always snowing in some part of every town, or at least on one side of the street. And notice how no one ever seems to get cold or wet. Currier and Ives, of course. Yes, even before their famous ventriloquism act, Ives was the one made of oak, these two engraved prints that became the models upon which all New England winters are based. And after Currier and Ives, calendars were never the same again, except for those in certain auto repair shops. And snowball fights? You bet. These boys and girls must be from an exclusive private school. They aren't hitting a thing. Ha ha! Now there's a lad who knows how to enjoy himself. Sliding on a shovel. Another of those insipid New England traditions no one can ever remember actually doing. So it's a great way to cut down on that Christmas card list. Skating remains as popular as ever, especially amongst those who know how to skate. Gliding, whirling, spinning, this adventuresome spirit displays all the grace, precision, and beauty of the sport, and still manages to do a decent Cary Grant. For those who prefer quieter pleasures, New England's back roads are perfect for that scenic drive. While the splendid countryside is ideal for a leisurely stroll. But make sure you wear your scarf and mittens, because the New England weather can be mighty unpredictable. Why, even a short trip can have its own rewards. It may be hard to imagine, but Christmas in New England wasn't always this much fun. Believing that it detracted from the true meaning of the day, the early Puritans chose not to celebrate Christmas. That is, until Cotton Mather pointed out in a sermon on Epiphany that they were all missing out on a real swell way to get a bunch of presents. Even so, most of our New England ancestors observed the holidays by seeing to it that those around them weren't having a good time either. Who says tradition doesn't have its place today? As the young nation evolved, so too did its Yuletide customs, growing more and more festive with each passing year to the point where wassail bowls became available in 6-packs. The Old North Church, site of the 1775 Revolutionary War Christmas party, where Samuel Adams caught Paul Revere kissing Mrs. Adams under some mistletoe in the belfry and promptly bopped him over the head with a Yule log. Even as late as the mid-19th century, city and state municipal offices treated Christmas like any other day. Politics has since become much more sophisticated, of course, and today most government offices treat working days just like Christmas. Most businesses remained open on Christmas. The holiday rush, as we know it, had yet to be invented. For example, in 1855, Sears Roebuck reported seasonal earnings of approximately $2.16, due primarily to Henry David Thoreau's practice of exchanging Christmas gifts with a few favorite squirrels. In fact, it wasn't until 1897 that Christmas was actually declared a legal holiday in Massachusetts, and that thanks largely to the intense lobbying of Amalgamated Eggnog and U.S. Tinsel. This historical perspective should make it obvious that today's New England customs are firmly rooted in the Yuletide gibberish of yore. One of the great joys of a modern Christmas is preparing for Christmas, or at least it sure beats the heck out of cleaning up after it. Taking the family out to search for and cut down your own tree is the perfect way to really get in the holiday spirit, and especially if you're the one carrying the hatchet. Feel the crisp air in your lungs, the frozen ground beneath your feet, the sticky sap on your pants. When choosing a tree, everyone has their own preference. Tall, short, full, or scrawny, each tree has its champion. It's fun to discuss which one will look best in your home. The important point to remember is that somewhere out there is the perfect tree for your family. Naturally, in such situations, compromise is the order of the day, and ultimately, a practical solution is always found. For those who are unable to cut their own tree, or are just too damn lazy, New England is blessed with many fine parking lots that grow trees, all with the same fine attendant. Here, the selection process is a bit more difficult because all the trees are sturdy and handsome, with sturdy and handsome price tags. Eventually, however, that special tree is found, the one tree which cries out, "Take me home, I'm yours, I'm yours!" Unfortunately, this is often accompanied by another voice which cries out, "Get your grubby mitts off of my tree!" and a lively discussion often ensues. properly put a value on these symbols of peace on earth and goodwill towards men? Well, if anyone can, it's one of these guys. Again, the true spirit of the season prevails, and the wise soul gains a deeper understanding of why it's more blessed to give than to receive. O Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches. O Tannenbaum, thy branches ain't so bad either. The Christmas tree represents an interesting mixture of the old Norwegian custom of periodically inviting foliage inside to meet the family, and the ancient and honorable Germanic tradition of trying to turn an extra buck at holiday time. Decorating your own tree can be a rich and rewarding experience, though you shouldn't be too surprised if it isn't. The following tips probably won't be very helpful either. First and foremost, make the tree secure. This is best accomplished by repeatedly telling it how great it looks over there in the corner, that it's rare to meet a conifer with such personality, and that dry needles are acceptable in today's society. Or you can tie it to a doorknob or something. Another reminder, large, heavy ornaments should be placed near the bottom of the tree. This would include any music boxes, car batteries, and animal carcasses. Techniques in decorating a tree vary, which may explain why there are so many funny-looking trees around. The overhand toss method is effective in giving the tree a casual, easygoing appearance. In other words, it'll look like you threw things at it. Here's a hint. When tossing the decorations, be sure to stand close enough, lest you miss the tree altogether and get mistaken for a member of the Red Sox bullpen. The old-fashioned, slow, item-by-item method, while efficient, may be just too painful for others to watch. The most popular method of decorating a tree today is by magic. The advantages of this technique include making sure the star on top is straight, cutting down on the high cost of replacement bulbs, and keeping any loose tinsel out of your shorts. Whatever the method, don't forget that special Yuletide bell that's guaranteed to spread good cheer and warn away passing ships. Finally, never buy a tree from this man, for as the prophet Isaiah said, "Verily, anyone who doth willingly sucketh his own nose cannot be trusted, believe you me." Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la, la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la, la 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 la. But maybe not quite that jolly, fa la 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 la, la 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 la. The origin of the quaint custom of decorating the home with holly, ivy, mistletoe, and poinsettias is unknown. Then again, who's going to admit to thinking up something like that? Few realize that the first Christmas card in America was sent by Bert Lipsky of Hyde Park on December 10th, 1847, to his sister Mabel, who lived next door. When the card finally arrived on February 19th, the post office blamed the Christmas rush. Today, of course, modern technology combined with the standard efficiency of the post office ensures that most holiday mail is delivered by February 18th. New Englanders are famous for being thrifty. Actually, they're famous for being really cheap and equally famous for always referring to that as being thrifty. Is it any wonder then that personal card making is such a proud tradition? Imagination, creativity, and impeccable craftsmanship go into each and every card, not to mention lots and lots of glue. Rest assured that no one who receives one of these handmade, one-of-a-kind beauties will ever forget it. The singing of carols originated at the first Christmas, when the little town of Bethlehem was serenaded by a choir of heavenly angels, most of whom, unfortunately, were way off key and couldn't keep the beat. Today, carolers delight in singing the old standbys we all become so sick of by the middle of December. Let's listen, shall we, to these perennial Yuletide favorites as performed by the Our Lady of Divine Retribution Glee Club.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here below. Praise Him, above the heavenly host. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Amen. Hark the herald angels sing, glory, glory, glory.
Makes you almost want to stuff a scarf down their throat, doesn't it? As we've already learned, early New England churches chose not to celebrate Christmas. Such is hardly the case today. For if they didn't actually invent Christmas, despite the claims of the First Episcopal Church of Cambridge, modern denominations would have at least held bake sales and raffled off some myrrh had they been present at the first one. What better typifies a typical New England town than a typical white church on a typical green? In fact, when it comes to being typical, such a scene is certainly unique. So many New England characteristics are expressed in such a church. Stern, traditional, honest, empty. Urban areas are more predominantly Catholic, earnest churchgoers who celebrate this most joyous of holidays according to their faith by feeling guilty. Clearly then, if the true spirit of the season is not always exemplified in these venerable churches, at least everyone manages to look busy. Many cities and towns, as well as churches, sponsor a manger scene. Some are simple and dignified. Some are just plain simple. Others are the size of Rhode Island. In fact, the manger scene in Rhode Island takes up part of Connecticut. All, however, solemnly display how the nativity actually would have looked had plastic and chicken wire been invented. And no New England school child's education can be considered complete without a part in that revered institution, the Christmas pageant. Whether they portray a sheep, the Virgin Mother, or a pile of straw, all participants experience a special inner sensation, queasiness, or in some cases, extreme nausea, that they will surely remember all the days of their lives. Christmas is also a time for charity, and the poor are not forgotten easily. The Archdiocese of Boston provides holly and hot mistletoe for the hungry, while the New England Council of Churches sees to it that a holiday wreath graces each and every door of the homeless. Other philanthropic groups also take advantage of the season's abundance of goodwill to annoy anybody and everybody within earshot. Truly, if this is not God's work, it is at least plenty noisy. Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane. Yes, Santa Claus, chubby and plump, George Schultz in a red suit, A right jolly old elf, Ed McMahon with reindeer. Santa Claus, the true embodiment of Christmas with a little left over. But just how did Santa Claus get to be Santa Claus and not, say, Ernest Borgnine? It all began in the early 4th century, give or take a week or two, with St. Nicholas, a kind and saintly man who was always doing lots of kind and saintly things, including weekends when he was on his own time. Nick was just that kind of guy. As the years passed and his reputation grew, Nicholas became the patron saint of children, of Russia, and of mail fraud. His evolution into the character we now know as Santa Claus was a long and complicated process, as illustrated here. 354 AD. 937 AD. 1343. 1487. 1612. 1879. 1986. And don't even ask where Kris Kringle came from. Actually, it wasn't until Clement Moore, a doctor who dabbled in poetry, often while operating, it wasn't until Moore wrote "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" that the current image of Santa Claus became crystallized in the national consciousness and brought profound new meaning to the phrase, ho, ho, ho. National consciousness or no, this early photograph of Santa reveals that he had obviously not read the poem. His eyes, how they don't twinkle. His cheeks, definitely not merry. In fact, by the general look of the Claus household, it's a wonder our boy Santa didn't try to get out of the house a little more often than once a year, like maybe 6 nights a week. But just what does it take to be Santa Claus in today's fast-paced world, besides a little round belly that shakes when he laughs like potato salad from the deli? This rare footage reveals the strenuous workouts Santa must undergo every year in training camp. Notice that he's wearing his gray warm-up suit, saving the full red uniform for game day. Keeping the mind razor sharp with intricate mathematical calculations is a must, though this exercise is far more difficult with mittens on. Accurately pinpointing his own nose with either hand is a skill absolutely essential for top-notch Santa Clausing. And given the degree of prevailing cynicism, jolly St. Nick must be well-versed in the gentle art of persuasion. But mostly, of course, Santa Claus deals with children, and kids will be, well, kids, which is precisely the problem. Establishing a rapport is essential, achieved only through patience, understanding, and a handy supply of semi-automatic weapons. Of course, there's always the kid with the fat little face who hasn't missed a meal in his entire life. Very quickly, there's no blood circulating, and Santa's lost all feeling in his socks. Then there's the little cutie who insists she wants to take acting classes and tests the tensile strength of Santa's face when he suggests swimming lessons instead. And why, oh why, do so many of these little ones come to visit Santa when they should be out looking for a good dentist? Gotta lay off those sugar plum fairies, kids. And when the opportunity presents itself, what's the harm in trying for the phone number of that sweet, seductive mom? Did anyone ever tell you you're almost as pretty as Thelma Ritter? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And when at last the day's work is done, Santa relaxes with a homosexual elf named Ralph and enjoys a fine dinner of reindeer souffle and antler stew. Down, Blitzen! Finally, it's Christmas Eve, and after a year of hard training, Santa is more than ready for his big night. It's not an easy job, but it's worth it. For not only does Santa Claus bring joy and cheer to millions all over the world, but he gets a discount on his suit and a good dental plan. Ultimately, like everywhere else, Christmas in New England means buying and selling, with buying being much more expensive. But Christmas is more than that. It is a time of excitement, of anticipation. It is a time of children's faces pressed against shop windows. It is a time of lots of dirty shop windows. Yes, amidst all the buying and selling, the rampant commercialism, and the Jim Neighbors Christmas special, New Englanders somehow manage to retain the true message of the holiday season. Save your receipts. Is it any wonder that Christmas always brings us such a headache? Christmas was written and directed by Jeremy D'Entremont and Tom Jackson, so blame those two guys. Featured were Tim Shinneman as the kid, Larry McDonald as any guy with a beard, and Cynthia Shinneman as the woman wielding the 16 caliber cane. Music by the Such a Headache Tabernacle Choir. Titles and Dinners by C. Raz. A happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Well, the Grinch didn't realize what he had done. With Cindy and Marta, the Who's demanded more fun. They dubbed Bogus Weirdness a sacred show. 9 p.m. the last Tuesday of every month is how it would go. So the Grinch became angry, and he said, "Boo-hoo. I wonder what my buddy George Bush would do." And with that his brain twisted, and the Grinch frowned. Keep your eyes open and look around.
Ay,